and welcome to the first of our destination discussions. The first in a regular series we will be doing around topics which impact employees that are relocating and the companies they work for. Altair Global, as well as being a relocation management company, provides destination services directly in 5 European countries. And I'm joined here by the leaders of those 5 businesses in Belgium, France, Ireland, Netherlands, and the UK. Today's discussion is around schooling, and it's particularly pertinent given that anyone planning to relocate this summer needs to be well underway with this aspect. Perhaps they may not know that though. So the question for each of our country experts is, I've just been offered a new role with my employer, which involves relocating to your country, and I need to sort out schooling for my child. Assuming this child may or may not speak the local language, what advice would you give? Anita, perhaps I can start with you. What are the options available?
Hi, everybody. This is the Brussels office speaking. My first advice would be for somebody who would like to find a school in Belgium, please hurry, because in 3 weeks from today, schools will be closed and they won't open up before the 1st of September. There's the international schools that are a bit more flexible and that sometimes do have somebody in the office in August for registration purposes. But for a primary school nowadays, you pay 30,000 euros, and for a secondary, it would be 40,000 euros per year per kid. That is without the school bus, without meals, without books, without anything at all. So the budget is quite high. Your alternative is with a local school, but the local schools, they have then the issue with the language to start with. It would either be in Dutch or it would be in French. And you need both languages, because even if you go to a Dutch school, the level of French as a second language is quite high. And the other way around, if you go to a French school, the level of Dutch is quite high. So you would need both languages to be able to catch up on history and geography and mathematics and what have you. So the other problem with the local schools, although they're for free, that's good news. The local schools there's not enough of them, or there are too many pupils, whichever way you want to look at it. And therefore, they give priority to the parents who already have one child in that school. The brothers and the sisters get priority, or very local people that live literally in the neighborhood, they get the priority. So all in all, it's not an easy task. On the other hand, if you come the first week of September, you might miss a few days of school because they start on the 1st, but parents have a tendency of registering their kids in multiple schools. And then in a few of them, they won't show up, and then places become available. So again, my best advice, don't wait too long.
Thanks, Anita. Esme, I assume much like Belgium, language plays a key part in the decisions around schooling in the Netherlands. What advice would you give?
Yes. Hi, my name is Esme from the Altair Global Netherlands office. I would pretty much say the same as Anita did. Please hurry if you still need a place for your child this summer, as the schools are breaking up for the summer holidays. The language of education in the Netherlands, if you go to a local school, is Dutch. So it's not Dutch and French like in Belgium, but it's just Dutch. And that is unfortunately a language that not a lot of people speak. So if you're coming to look for a place in one of the schools in the Netherlands, you do not have that many choices. There are local schools that are for free. However, they do not accept students who do not speak the local language yet. There is a program, a 1-year program for them to learn Dutch, but it's full for the rest of the year. So only if your child is under, I would say, age of 5 or 6, it's possible to join a local school this year. Then we have international schools. The good thing in the Netherlands is that we have two types of international schools. We have private international schools and we have subsidized international schools. The private international schools are pretty much the same, I think, as in the other countries. Language of education is usually English. You can follow IB, or if you choose an American school, AP classes and so on. However, the school fees are quite high. We're talking about somewhere between 20 and 25 euros per child per year without bus service and without anything else. The good news is that the subsidized schools in the Netherlands are only 1/3 of the fee of the international private schools. That is something that the government set up a couple of years ago to attract expat families to the Netherlands. Places in subsidized schools are filling up quickly. So again, it's a good idea to start looking at schools as soon as you know you will be transferred. If you have any concerns about education for your child, come talk to us. We're happy to talk to you about your personal situation and try to find a solution.
Thanks, Esme. So, Charlotte, going to France then, how would your team assist in this situation?
Charlotte from France. Thanks, Simon. We would advise, of course, the families, such as in Belgium and the Netherlands, to hurry up to register the children within the school, because schools are closing on the 7th of July for the summer holiday. Public schools, the state schools in France are free. However, to register with these schools, you would need to register with at the town hall of where you will be living, and the school your child will be registered will depend on the address of your permanent property. So of course, the town hall will still be open this summer. So when you arrive, if you arrive in June, you find your property, you'll still have time to register your child for September. However, you will not be able to visit the schools because they will be closed for the summer period. The French system in schools, French is the only language that the children are taught at school. All the lessons will be in French. So your child will need to have a minimum of French knowledge, a basic language. The government has opened some special classes to help foreigners, the children of foreigners couple to have some classes in English, but these classes are limited and they are not in every schools. Next to that, you have the international schools, like in Belgium and the Netherlands, but they are like the American schools, the British schools, and they will follow the specific curriculum of each country. You also have the German schools, you have international schools of very different nationalities. But the difficult thing is that the fee is quite expensive, and the tuition fee can go up to 40,000 euros per child. And you have to add up on that the material, the buses, the meals, the school trips, and so on. So it can be quite difficult, but and also some of these private schools will have an academic selection as well. So you will need to send upfront all the records of your child from the home country. So they will check the records to see if they have a good level to attend the international school. Sometimes, unfortunately, if the level is not good, if your child's level is not good enough, they will not be accepted. But we would advise, we will give all the information we need upfront to all the families to prepare the files, and we will accompany them to the international schools they want to visit.
Thank you, Charlotte. Teresa, Ireland has had a big influx of people from around the world in the last 10 years or so. How's that impacting schooling and the service and support you provide?
Thanks, Simon. Teresa here from Dublin. Yes, our population has grown substantially over the last decade, around about 10%. Coupled with that, then obviously the last number of months, we've had a lot of Ukrainian people. We've welcomed them to Ireland. which has added about 15,000 young people, students, children into our school system. So we have got an issue in terms of capacity, but while it's under pressure, the system is coping. So I wouldn't have it as a negative in terms of transferring to Ireland. Most transferees actually do choose the public school system. We have a good reputation for education in Ireland. We do have a private system. It's probably easier to get into and apply all year round and get a lot more flexibility in the private sector. But as I say, most people do choose to go to our state schools. Like everybody says, time is not on our side to get acceptances for the next term at the moment. That said, we just still have 3 weeks left in the primary school year. So, you know, there are applications can be placed before then in the next 3 weeks. Secondary schools have already finished here in Ireland. So most office staff will be off for the summer. So therefore, we've always had the chicken and egg anyway, which comes first, the school or the home. At this time of year, it's probably practical to be thinking home then school, because you know there's only so much you can do. We need to explore what we can do at the time frame we have, but it's probably focus on school and get the applications into the local schools. Priority is always given to siblings of children in the school already, and also children who are resident in the local area, the local neighbourhood. But once there is space in the schools, once those people have been selected or given places, once there is capacity, they will accept applications for people who are coming to Ireland or from people who live in other areas. So unlike other countries where there's stricter guidelines in place, we do have that little bit of flexibility. I suppose the key thing right now is that we won't get too many responses to applications over the summer holidays. Private schools, as I say, will be most likely to come back to you at this time. Just a final point for us, a lot of, and it's just a frustration we find with some people. The school starting age is usually between 4.5 and 5.5 here. They can start at 4, but there's usually a cutoff that they have to be 4 from, let's say, May. Now, each school has a different sort of admissions policy. So if a child comes at 4, they were born in August, they just literally turned 4, chances are they're going to be told you must wait till next year. It's just something to bear in mind. Each school has a different policy, and we do find some transferees get a little frustrated with that, but it's something we have to just work with. But look, we're here, we can help. We know the schools that potentially have capacity because of people we've worked with recently and whatnot. And yeah, we're available to talk to anyone who needs some help.
Thank you, Teresa. And finally, Bev, language less of an issue potentially in the UK, but perhaps not all plain sailing. What advice would you give?
Hi, Simon. It's Bev from the UK, as you said. The issue that we have, it can be language related as well, actually, because although we find that the employee does speak great business English, we find that sometimes the spouse and their families don't. And so we can struggle with English being a second language or not spoken at all. We do have 2 main types of schooling, as we have in the other European countries, one that you pay for and one that you don't. And there are pros and cons for both of those. The schools that you pay for, unfortunately, are eye-wateringly expensive, and these would be the British schools, if there's a country denomination school such as Germany, for instance, and the international schools. And they can range from anything from around 20,000 going all the way up to around 50,000 for boarding schools and the prestigious schools that many people may have heard of. So that can be quite restrictive. In addition to that, they are academically selective, so there will be lots of entrance exams, and this can put a lot of pressure on children, and children that are performing really well in their home country may not pass those entrance exams because the language, or they've not been doing the same topics, and so they're not tested on the same knowledge. So we do look at the state option, and our state school option is very, very popular. The majority of people that relocate will want to look at that state system. The biggest frustration is you have to have your visa, you have to be in the country as a whole, or the family, and you do have to have a lease that's started. So not just signed, but actually started. And then you can make that application. But the application doesn't go to the individual schools, it goes to the local council. And the local council then will be selecting that school on behalf of your children based upon criteria. Catchment being one, follow-on siblings being another, and you can also write a little bit of a bio about the children if there's any needs or assessments that have been taken place in the home country. However, if the school's full, it's full. And although they have to allocate schooling because that's a legal obligation, they don't have to allocate the school of choice, and they don't have to allocate it within a certain mile radius of your home. So it's always that risk that makes people nervy. We do try to circumnavigate this by speaking to the councils regularly and trying to ascertain which areas have more spaces than others. And sometimes it is an advantage not starting at the beginning of that year group, such as September, because we do find a lot of transition and movement. So a school that seems to be full at the start of September can actually have some spaces come up the first or second week. So we try to put people at ease and so they don't panic. All children we can find schools for, so that's not a problem at all. And we've also looked at homeschooling as well. So some people who have homeschooled in their home country, they may want to homeschool here. We've also looked at that provision and what they might need to do to continue that and be legal here in the UK as well.
Thanks, everyone. So hopefully everyone watching this can see that despite this being a little bit late in the year, all is not lost. And of course, if our team can provide any support with this or any other area of relocation, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Thanks everyone for your time and have a great rest of your day.